Hi, I'm Rebecca Kemp Brent. I enjoy changing up my living space, and one of the easiest ways to do that is with pillows. But I have an idea for you that's even simpler than making a whole pillow, and that's to make a belly band that goes around your pillow and just adds a little something extra to it. You can start with something very simple like this, which is actually an upholstery fabric that looks completely different on the reverse side. So I've bound the edges of a single layer, and all I have to do is take that off, reverse it, and put it on again, and I've changed my pillows. Or you can have a little more fun with it. This is a band that's made with scraps of sari silk from India that are sort of factory leftovers and end cuts. You can get them in an amazing variety of colors and then have a lot of fun piecing them together. You can add quilting, embroidery, whatever your special technique is that you like to do the most. And another little secret that I have, because I'm thinking about changing these and how I can best change and reuse. So I've closed this with buttonholes, and instead of having to buy a new set of buttons every time, what I've done is sew two buttons together, and then I have buttonholes on both ends. When you slip this double button through, it will close and keep your belly band around your pillow, but you can reuse these same double buttons on all the bands that you make to make changes throughout the year. Another secret to the technique that I've done here is that I've used a special embroidery batting, and it takes the place of a stabilizer layer so that when I'm doing my piecing and then going back and doing the quilting and embroidery on top, I usually won't need any stabilizer or an additional fabric layer. And another plus to using this batting when you piece your fabrics together is that some of these sari silks are stiff and boardy, and others are very fluid and drapey. So you can use all those different textures because the batting makes them all the same, and that's a great surface to do your embellishing on. I've also chosen some fun threads to work with. For my quilting, I'll often use a matte finish thread, like an all-purpose sewing thread or maybe a variegated cotton quilting thread. And to audition those threads and see how they're going to look on my fabrics, this is one of my favorite tricks, because these are scraps of fabric left over from cutting out my patches. So I don't have to use additional material, but I can stitch back and forth with the threads to see exactly how they're going to look on the colors that I've chosen. I have also used just a little bit of metallic for flash, and I've used these beautiful embroidery threads that add a sheen that goes with the sort of beautiful texture and visual impact of the sari silks. This is the block that I designed for these belly bands, and one of the unique things about it is that it's a rectangle instead of a square. That gives it a lot of extra versatility, because when you rotate this block, it's almost something completely different, as you can see here where I've rotated every other block in my project. Just is a little bit of an easy way to make sure that it has a more random look, even though it's really totally planned. Now, I did make one mistake when I was putting this together, and I'm going to turn that into a teaching opportunity for you. The batting that I picked is a rectangle too, and I cut my batting pieces the wrong way. So my batting is too short, and what I've had to do is piece the batting together. If you'll come with me over to the sewing machine, I'll show you how quick and easy it is to put two pieces of batting together. I'm just going to choose a stitch that is a multi-step zigzag, and for demonstration, I'm just using the decorative thread that I already have on my machine. What you're going to want to use is a thread that matches your batting. You simply place this with the two edges you want to join side by side, lower your presser foot with the join right in the middle of the presser foot, and then as you stitch, that extra needle drop in the middle sort of pulls the two edges together so they abut perfectly. And here's my join. It's a nice secure join. There's absolutely no extra thickness there, and it won't separate or cause extra bulk in your project. So that's my mistake. Maybe it's a good opportunity that'll keep you from having the same problem later on. Now let me show you a little bit about using the decorative stitches. One of the things that I love, as you can tell, is variety. So in addition to all the different colors that I have on my belly band, I'm also going to use different stitches. And some of the stitches that are available on the machines are what I call lateral motion stitches. They move from side to side as well as from front to back. And I wanted to show you one of those stitches because it can be a little strange the first time you sew with them because your fabric's going to move in a different way. I'll go over to my machine and choose my stitch. So I have everything all set up, and I'm going to lower my presser foot and use my tie off function. You can either use the automatic or the manual tie off, and then I'm ready to stitch. And you can see what I mean about this stitch moving the fabric in a side-to-side motion just a little bit, in addition to moving it from front to back. The best thing to do is let the machine take over and do the moving for you. All you really need to do is just adjust it a little bit from time to time to keep the stitch straight. But otherwise, let the machine do what it wants to do. I'm using the in foot, which is a decorative stitch foot. It's used for satin stitches and also for decorative stitches. And that just allows me a little bit more visibility, as well as giving a broader platform for the stitches so that they sew out with a little bit better quality. Now I have one more trick I want to show you for making your own belly bands, and that's the way that I made the faux binding that I've used on my bands. Binding is not a really hard thing to do, but this is a little trick that will let you do it all in one process with the backing fabric. So in the instructions that you can find on the website, you'll see that I have cut my backing fabric so that it's actually wider than my top fabric and batting. Now I'm going to ignore that extra width, match up the long edges, and sew with a 1/4 inch seam on both sides. So you just fold the extra fabric out of the way and stitch your seam. When that's all done, we'll turn the project right side out and press it, and that lets the backing wrap over the edges and make this beautiful faux binding. Then you can either stitch in the ditch or you can top stitch, edge stitch right along it, and it's going to look very much as if you bound the edges. To finish off the ends, I've left a little extra fabric and I trim that down to just 5/8 of an inch. You fold the raw edge in to meet the raw edge of your top, and then you fold it one more time, and once again, it looks just like you did an actual binding on your edge, but it's really just some clever folding. These belly bands are a lot of fun to make, and because they're small and don't take up a lot of room, you don't have extra stuffed pillows lying around. You could make a set and change them out with the seasons, make them for special occasions. Whatever you like to do best, you can use it to make some really pleasant changes in your living space.